Hi, everybody. Welcome to Invivo Leadership Strategies. My name is Dr. S. You can also call me Leili. That is my first name. And welcome to the Invivo Leadership Strategies podcast. Now, I know what you're most likely thinking. This is a very long name for a leadership-based, coaching-based company. And you're absolutely right. So let me start by defining the Invivo Leadership Strategies and why I named it that. So let me start with that. First and foremost, in vivo, in vitro, what I'm learning through my position in consulting is that we spent a great deal of time in terms of consulting talking about ways you can improve pieces. We don't spend a lot of time in this industry making sure that what we are giving to our clients are, well, to put it in a very nice and kind way, practical, meaning that they're more result oriented for them. So I thought of something that I grew up with, not that I was ever in the scientific or medical field per se, but in vitro versus in vivo. In vitro, we work in a lab, it's controlled environment. It's, we look at theories and we review it in that way. And sometimes I think that's where a lot of consultants get stuck in, is we are in our world, in our controlled labs, just giving recommendations. What I wanted to do was take a more practical base approach in my consulting. And so that's where the in vivo piece comes through. I want what I am sharing for my clients to be real, to be practical, to be result oriented. Now, I also know that I don't control the world. And so that's the part of in vivo that I like the most, is we put things into practice. And yes, we are searching for results 100%, but we're also wary and realistic about what the external world can spit at us. And that's why I named it in vivo. The leadership strategies is really for the fact that I do change management, project management, leadership, coaching, executive coaching, anything having to do with strategies. I have also been an adjunct professor, and I am an adjunct professor, and I teach strategic management. So that's where this name has come from. And I hope that sheds some light in what this business is all about. Now, I want to share a little bit about myself. I am Leili Sadaghiani. I have a doctorate of education in organizational leadership. Before that, I had gotten my master's in business administration with a concentration in organizational leadership. What I want to do in this platform is really three things. One is talk about toxic/bad leadership. My dissertation was in hubristic leadership and the consequences. Well, I wouldn't say consequences, I guess, but I had interviewed mid-level managers and their experience dealing with hubristic behaviors of executives that they worked with. I love this topic because from a personal standpoint, I've had really terrible experiences working with executives as a mid-level manager in the past. And it really made this topic so important for me to put out there. Many times we leave our jobs knowing that it was because of a bad leader that was there. I have not talked to not one person who has had positive experiences throughout their entire career when it comes to leadership. We've all hit bad leadership. So I want to shed some more light on that. The second goal of this podcast is to bring more authenticity into the work of a leader. What does that mean? I want to put affirmations or affirmations, meaning maybe tiny little episodes here and there to give you those affirmations that you need in order to survive throughout your day. I also want to hit topics people do not hit. So for instance, I think that we see leadership as a title. I am in a corporate world. I'm sitting in my cornered office. My title is the president of operations, something along the lines of that. And you and I, we've been somewhat brainwashed in this world to think you're only a leader if you're sitting in that corner office. I don't approach leadership that way at all. And in fact, I think every person, every human being in this world is a leader. And it does not have to be in an office. It could be you are the coach of your daughter's soccer team, to you are leading your dog in training and helping them develop as a puppy, to, it comes in so many different shapes and sizes. Those are the main two. And then lastly, my third one has to do with my personal experience leading and the world of anxiety that comes with it. In my Instagram page, I mostly cover anxiety and leadership because that's somewhere that hits closer to home. I feel like I can really do a good job of talking about my experience and being more vulnerable and open in that platform. And in this podcast, I want to talk about anxiety, not in the same way, but in a way that we approach the world as leaders wanting to prove ourselves every single day in what we do. We may be new leaders in that company. We may be new leaders in general, or we may be tenured leaders that for some reason have to prove ourselves. But every leader wants to show themselves, prove themselves, look good. And sometimes that comes from your ego. Actually, most of the time it's coming from your ego, where you want to be liked, praised, respected, and so forth and so forth. Here's the thing. I don't think any of those things are bad. And in this podcast, I don't want to label wanting to be liked as bad, because who doesn't want to be liked? I think as far as people go, there are always going to be tendencies for us to be liked by our peers, our colleagues, our employees. It's a natural feeling to have that. What I want to do is bring more confidence in your leadership, but not in a way where we go into that hubristic side, hence the first goal that I had mentioned, but more of, let's get you to be more self-aware. Let's get you to think about how you're showing up for yourself. Let's get you to go into a more genuinely based decision-making rather than a fear-based decision-making. So those are all the goals that I want to hit in this podcast. And, as far as personal side of conversation goes, I have been in the corporate world for 15 plus years, and I worked in a position where it was that corner office that I had mentioned in this podcast. I was really if anybody looked at me and looked at my life, they thought, wow, what a great life you have. You have that title, you have that role, you live in this big city of San Francisco, you just have it all. And that was just not the case. I was not happy with where I was at all. It took me a good 2-3 years to really come to terms with that. And after I quit the position and opened up my own business, I promised myself that I would do the best that I can to make sure that whoever is in that spot, that I help them and I carry them to where they're supposed to be in their career and leadership journey. And so here I am 4.5 years later, and I feel like I am finally pursuing what it is that I want to pursue. Helping individuals like yourself who are listening to this podcast be the best version of themselves when it comes to leadership, strategic management, and changes in their organization. So I hope that you stick around, you listen, and that you stay engaged. I hope that this podcast, along with many episodes to come, brings something to you in a positive way into your life and inspire you to keep moving in your leadership journey. I am so excited to start this, and I hope that you come along. Thank you so much.